Okay, so I'm gonna call the meeting to order at 4:30, and if everybody could stand for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so next on the agenda is the conversation. I didn't know if everybody wanted to have the conversation and then have the public comment or flip it. Lacey had meant to ask the question.
I was gonna make a motion for public comment first, because I feel like we should hear what the teachers have to say, cause a lot of them are here tonight. So I motion to, open public comment.
Second? Kelly?
Sure. Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. So next up is public comment. Just ask that you come up, state your name, and speak away. All right, and you come right up to the podium. Thank you.
Hi, Alyssa Dow, 6th grade language arts here at Seabrook Middle School. I'd like to begin by sharing my role in the Seabrook community. I teach 6th grade language arts and help students develop their voices as writers, shape their understanding of the world through literature, and develop strong communication and collaborative skills by providing students with opportunities to engage in cross-curricular activities and real-world experiences. Some of the academic highlights in 6th grade include our students attending the ecology school, experiencing the performance of a Christmas Carol at the Rochester Opera House, writing letters to companies to exercise their consumer voices, receiving some amazing responses, including some free products, hosting our night at the museum during the day, exhibits for our parents, guardians, and community members, enjoying a Mexican fiesta completely catered by Casa Tequila here in Seabrook, designing a cardboard arcade, interacting with coding programs and robotics, and so many more experiences. This year, my team and I, without the help of our budget or any grant, created and continue to fully fund and stock a 6th grade store where students earn different currencies from their teachers for appropriate behavior and good academic standing. Students spend their earned currency at the end of each month to purchase items. Ask any 6th grade student about our store and they will tell you the cool finds that we have. Outside of the language arts classroom, I won one of our RAM Squared programs to provide targeted instruction in the area of reading and writing for students who fall between the cracks or those who need more than one intervention. This requires teaching during my planning time, but I'm happy to make the sacrifice to ensure that all students are having their needs met. I am co-advisor alongside Haley Parsons for our Seabrook Youth program, which is a leadership program where students educate their peers, the school, the community, and the state about the dangers of substance misuse. I want to thank Granny Youth Alliance and Seacoast Youth Services for providing funds to maintain our program. I run our chess program alongside Marie Easton to implement the New Hampshire Department of Education's Granite Gambit initiative to revive chess in schools. I'm also an academic advisor and program leader for Seabrook Adventure Zone, working with students from kindergarten to 8th grade 5 days a week until 6 o'clock. For the past 3 years, I even continued working during the summer to help extend learning opportunities beyond the school year while targeting those who need more language arts instruction beyond the calendar. To bring all of these experiences and opportunities to the children of Seabrook community, it takes time, resources, dedication, recognition, and support from our colleagues, our administrators, parents, guardians, community members, the SAU, and most importantly, our Seabrook School Board. Our administrators and curriculum coordinator rally behind us every single day and are always asking, what can we do to support you? Personally, I put in 55 hours a week to do everything I can to support the children of Seabrook, while also trying to raise my own 3 children, the youngest being 5 months old. Off the clock, I am planning, grading, literally driving around the seacoast doing porch pickups for 6th grade school store donations, planning field trips, and more. I am 100% all in with the Seabrook community. What I've outlined here, though personal to me, is not unique to a teacher's life regarding the amount of hours we put in. This is the dedication you see from teachers in this building. Our school board needs to have the same dedication. The school board policy manual states that the school board should be mindful that the position requires significant time, effort, and commitment to the school and community. That's in section B of the School Board Governance and Operations Handbook. Dedication requires time and commitment to educate oneself to the policies that govern our school. Claiming to not have knowledge of policies and procedures is unacceptable. It's your job to know. You question accounts payable and payroll, well then schedule an appointment with Matt and he will tediously pull out every receipt and explain every expense that you request. You need to take the time to investigate, research, and communicate rather than spread misinformation without anything to back up those misleading claims. These are the same skills we instill in our students. I understand that you all have a life outside of the school, but this is the burden that you signed up for to represent the Seabrook community. If you cannot fulfill your duties with 100% dedication beyond your own interests, then you should step down and allow someone who is willing to do the hard work. If you truly do feel passionate that you are giving your full dedication to our school and community, then I encourage you, schedule regular visits, step into our school, visit our classrooms, have lunch with the students in the cafeteria, ride the bus. Stop making judgments and claims about our students, staff, and administration without seeing for yourself the hard work that we engage in daily. I would like to address the incident that occurred last week. On Wednesday, staff were blindsided by an email from our SAU business manager, Matt, sharing that we may not get paid on Friday. Kelly Huber, Maria Brown, and Lacey Fowler chose not to sign payroll and accounts payable. Kelly responded to emails from staff voicing their concerns and explaining how not signing is illegal, yet stating, "I will sign off on this payroll only because you all deserve to be paid." To be clear, the school board needs to sign off on our payroll every time we are paid. As the next due date to sign off on payroll approaches, I'll be filled with fear and anxiety, hoping that the board fulfills their legal obligation to sign. Kelly alluded that the SAU is to blame for our worry over not being paid because she doesn't understand the purchases listed on accounts payable and staff being paid to be bus monitors. Yet, she didn't sit down with Matt to go over these expenditures. The SAU doesn't have a hidden agenda. They aren't trying to embezzle funds or sneak in purchases without a purpose. They're trying to utilize the resources that we have to provide an environment that supports all learners, even those under the preschool age, and maintain safety. The community voted that we create a committee to research leaving the SAU, when what we really need is a committee to review the practices of this board. What is concerning is that this board has policies, yet can change them in an instant, can vote on any item on a whim, spread and share misinformation without taking the time to investigate for themselves. There are no checks and balances. Only the community has the power over the school board, and the Seabrook community should be completely outraged and concerned over the immense power this board has over our students' learning and staff's livelihood. Some suggested action steps that I have are as follows. 1, investigate the school board practices, including the spread of misinformation and breach of confidentiality, and dismiss members who break those policies. 2, ask for the resignation of any school board member who is unable to commit to the time and effort required of their position. And 3, with regards to the budget proposal, I encourage the board to alter start times, to reduce 2 buses to save $155,519, and to cut the book budget another $20,000 more, which will save the health position. Students need exposure to curriculum like nutrition, substance misuse prevention, conflict resolution, suicide prevention, growth and development, positive self-image, disease and illness prevention, internet safety, and more. We absolutely must maintain a health position. Shaving this program down to a fourth of its size would not only be a detriment to our students, but it will greatly impact UA class sizes, scheduling, and staff.
Thank you.
Next, public comment. Come on up.
Hello, I'm Jackie Wolf. I'm the health teacher for Seabrook Middle School. Thank you administrators, school board, staff, and community members who are here tonight. I know you're dedicated to this community and our students at Seabrook Middle School. I want to introduce myself briefly and share some of the positive highlights from our health education curriculum as it currently exists. I am an experienced educator with 18 years of experience as a health educator and an additional year in education teaching foreign language. I've been actively involved in our school community since 2019 when I was hired, and have served on several committees over the years, including an advisory program committee, Spirit Squad, District Wellness Committee, Seabrook Middle School Wellness Committee, and Health Club Program Advisor. Additionally, I've worked as the district team wellness leader and assisted in creating cohesive documents detailing the health curriculum used by our district and schools. I've attended many music and drama performances here at our school to show support for the wonderful programs we have, and created our first health fair at this year's Student Exhibition Night. The health fair provided a fun way for families to enjoy wellness-based activities, including traversing our rock wall, having a jump rope contest, taking free gift bags, promoting mental health and personal safety, learning CPR, and making connections to community members such as our school resource officer, the school nurse, school nutrition manager, the American Heart Association, Exeter YMCA, the RAC, and our local fire department. Students in my class have been learning important skills relevant to living a healthy lifestyle that they can use now and later in life. These skills include decision-making, effective communication, refusal skills, advocacy, analyzing influences, accessing valid and reliable information, resources, and support, self-management strategies to reduce stress, reducing risks and preventing emergencies, and goal setting. Students have learned how to choose healthy meals that follow the updated MyPlate and dietary guidelines for Americans. They have learned how to read food labels, how to advocate against bullying, and how to be upstanders that decrease bullying and violence. 5th grade students proudly demonstrated how to help someone who is choking at our last student exhibition night, and several even taught their parents and guardians how to do the same skill using our health education choking prevention vest. They received "I learned how to save a life" sticker, which they were very happy about, in recognition of their achievement. Health and 7th grade science classrooms collaborated to showcase hands-only CPR. It was demonstrated by the 7th grade science students to our 5th grade health students to conclude our choking prevention unit. Health education is a valuable subject that, like physical education, not only helps our students to be empowered to make healthy decisions, but it also enables them to make decisions that have a direct impact on their ability to learn and be successful in other areas academically. Our administrators and school board have been put in a difficult position because our budget was not approved. It was said that the budget proposal decision was based on feedback from the school board and community. I am concerned for our students and staff about the impacts of severely reducing the health curriculum by cutting the health position and reducing it to a health/PE model. While this model may be common, it is not practical or progressive. The impacts extend beyond a single classroom and will affect many other teachers in our school, as class size may increase and schedules will need to be adjusted or revised. The impacts to the UA team will be significant, as they will still need to teach the same number of students, but with one less teacher. The impacts due to the loss of health curriculum will be hugely detrimental to our students and the community as a whole. The school board has expressed concern that the SMS health curriculum is more extensive than the health curriculum at our other schools. I believe this is one factor that was used in determining the proposal by our administrators. It is difficult, however, to make comparisons to health curriculum being taught in our school and other schools in the district, since enrollment numbers, student-to-teacher ratios, and student needs are not the same. Please take a look at the data sheets that I passed along to you so that you properly understand and can compare enrollment from our school and other schools in the district. I'm just going to read a few examples, not all of them, so that those of you that don't have papers can also kind of understand where I'm at. Lincoln Ackerman has 85 total kids in grades 5 through 8. There are 11 8th grade students. There are 29 7th grade students, 19 6th grade students, and 26 5th grade students. Northampton has 125 students enrolled in grades 5 through 8, yet there are 2 PE teaching positions at their school. Seabrook Middle School is proposing 1 PE wellness teacher for 299 students in grades 5 through 8. As educators, we are taught the importance of differentiating instruction and lessons to reflect the students you serve, and that is what we have done at Seabrook Middle School. One size does not fit all, and this is true for educational instruction in our district. I am concerned that the health PE teaching model will drastically reduce the skills and topics that our students learn, in addition to reducing the already limited time that they get to spend being physically active in PE. According to the National Library of Medicine, evidence suggests that improving physical activity and physical fitness may improve academic performance. We've had lots of discussions about how we want to see these kids perform. An article titled "The Connection Between Learning and Health" by the Department of Education in Colorado states, "The academic success of America's youth is strongly linked with their health. Health-related factors such as hunger, physical and emotional abuse, trauma, and chronic illness can lead to poor school performance. Health risk behaviors such as substance use, violence, and physical inactivity are consistently linked to academic failure and often affect students' school attendance, grades, test scores, and the ability to pay attention in class. The proposal to remove the health curriculum and replace it with a health PE model will be taking away curriculum that has the ability to directly impact student performance and achievement in other academic areas and core content subjects. Additionally, having one class cover both subjects will reduce the amount of time students spend learning positive coping strategies for stress management, appropriate responses to anger, recognizing when someone is depressed or feeling suicidal, and knowing how to get the professional help that they need to reduce the risk of suicide. With next month being Mental Health Awareness Month, I want the community to understand that mental health challenges are on the rise in this country, even among our youth. Over the past 10 years, suicide has actually become the second leading cause of death for young people ages 10 through 34. Data from the most recent Youth Risk Behavior Survey shows that in New Hampshire, 44% of youth felt sad or hopeless almost every day for 2 weeks or longer. Nearly a quarter of our youth have seriously considered attempting suicide, and 19% have made a suicide attempt plan. Nearly 10% of youth in New Hampshire attempted suicide at least one time. Over 36% of youth reported that their mental health was most of the time or not always good, including stress, anxiety, and depression. This compares to the national average of 29%, we're pretty much a lot higher. All of these rates are even higher for females and youth in the LGBTQ+ community. I fear for the future of our community and our students that these proposals will lead to potentially devastating consequences that may not be apparent immediately, but over time especially will negatively impact our students, as they will be losing high-quality education they need and deserve. I also fear that by removing relevant and appropriate national sex education standards involving gender identity, sexual orientation, and standards that impact personal safety, that we have done a disservice to our students. I hope that someday our school board will understand why these topics need to be included at the middle school level and in health education curriculum, and that someone will make a future motion to bring back our updated, relevant national sex education standards and health curriculum so that all students and community members, regardless of political preferences and personal agendas, will show that we are a tolerant society that respects differences among people and supports and loves one another despite those differences. I want to thank the administration, the school board, the community members, and staff for your support through this ordeal. I know many of you value health education and understand how important it is to any community, and especially this one. I appreciate all who have spent time brainstorming solutions to this budget and proposing ideas that were shared and hopefully considered by administration. Again, I understand we are in a difficult position, but as a community and staff, we as a community and staff have come up with alternative ideas and proposals to help us meet our budget needs without removing an entire curriculum that has always been included in education with the goal of preventing disease, managing and improving mental, social, and physical health, and teaching students how to be caring, kind, and respectful citizens. I advocate for the health position, not because I teach it, but because our kids and community deserve it.
Next, anybody else? Everybody good? Okay.
I'll
Oh,
speak.
come on up. I think I saw you a week ago.
Yes, I was here.
Join board.
Hey, folks.
Hi.
My name is Andy Kashi. I represent the hardworking, dedicated staff members of Seabrook as president of the Seacoast Education Association. I've been in the district 28 years. I can tell you that the Seabrook teachers are a special breed. They are fierce advocates of your children. They have their best interests in mind. They're super dedicated. They give generously of themselves. They give up time on the weekend. They stay late. They work. They even give of their own pocketbooks to provide enriching activities to make teaching and learning meaningful. And they do this willingly, and they do this knowingly, that this is what the the district needs, the kids of this district need. And again, they do that knowingly and willingly. But they never thought that they would not get paid. This dysfunction that is playing out in the community, the back and forth, the rancor, has an effect. It has an effect on the education that can be delivered. It has an effect on the atmosphere. You know, teachers are feeling attacked. They feel devalued, denigrated. You know, they never thought that, again, that they won't get paid. They never thought that personal information would be shared in public forums. They never thought that their professional efforts would be scrutinized, undermined, questioned in public forums. And that's unfortunate, because I think that it's the children of the district that suffer when we can't come together as a community of educators, a board, administration, and do what's best for these children. So, no blame, no waving a finger at anybody, but I think it's important that we understand that the infighting, the rancor, has an effect. And moving forward, we would ask that that be taken into account. And with regard to the budget process here, it's a little, to me, backwards that we're at this end asking for teacher input about what to cut. I generally love teacher input. I love it when you ask all stakeholders their opinions. And so I appreciate that. But if you want us to be a part of the budget process, let's be a part of the whole process. Let's be a part of the budget building process and not the budget cutting process. We don't necessarily want to cannibalize our own, to point fingers, to take money away from our colleagues or undermine our colleagues' programs and stuff like that. So while I appreciate the input for budget, it's not the end of the process we'd like to be on. So I thank you for your time. I just wanted to lend voice to what the teachers are feeling tonight, and I'm hopeful that we can move forward and find solutions that work for all stakeholders. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anybody else? Come on up.
My name is Rebecca Sherbon. I teach 8th grade language arts. I've been in district for 16 years. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your efforts, and thank you for the opportunity. It's been a really hard week here, hearing about people who may have jobs, who may not have jobs. And the fact of the matter is that our budget was not voted in by the community, and I think the most important thing that we need to look at, regardless of how this whole thing plays out, is how we manage to bring our community back in to the point where they're supporting our schools, our teachers, our board, each other. Every single person who works in this school matters. I heard today that we're potentially losing a custodian as well. They work so hard. There's so many different layers of this, but I think the number one most important thing is to recognize that Seabrook is one of the most proud communities that I know of in the entire state of New Hampshire. And I can't even imagine how strong our school would be if this community banded together and fought for these kids. And that's my message for tonight, is that once this is all over and done with, then we've got to figure out a way to redirect our focus, not on us, not on you, not on them, but on the kids and on the school, and whatever it is that we need to do to get us to a point where everybody can walk into a meeting and feel really proud to be able to say that they're from Seabrook. Thank you for your time.
Anybody else? Come on up, you're thinking? Any? No? How about over here, we all set? Okay, so we will, does any of the board, any input from the board? You guys all set?
No, thank you.
Okay. So we're gonna go on to the default budget. And I just do wanna say that the budget cuts, first time I saw them was at the meeting that night, so just so everybody knows, and we really, as a board, I didn't have any say, cause I'm new, but I also didn't have any say in this new proposal either. So it comes from administration to the board, and that's why we're here tonight, opened up, so that we can learn as well as you.
But I think he was right. I think that going forward with the budget, we need to start meeting with teachers to see what they recommend,
Absolutely,
because we don't
it's
do
nice.
that.
That would be nice. So, okay, Matt, you wanna share your proposal with the community here?
Yes, thank you. So as we were all aware, you know, due to the budget failing at ballots, the school board is required to create a new budget at the default level. That's $319,321 less than the proposed operating budget. That results with a bottom line budget of $17,661,175. So, the Seabrook Elementary and Middle School principals, you know, worked hard alongside the SAU to take another view at the budget and to prioritize where we could potentially reduce. You know, almost $320,000 is significant. As the board is aware, we had made significant reductions for the proposed budget. So there was when we're talking about those types of numbers, it oftentimes or you know requires reductions in personnel. So we are making a recommendation to make on 5 budget line items. The first of which is $35,000 from the contribution that we make towards the Seabrook Adventure Zone. The Friends of Seabrook community was generous enough to reach out to us directly, and they did offer to absorb that $35,000 contribution from the school. So that was incredibly helpful. So I do want to take a moment to thank the Friends of Seabrook community for you know, doing that. Additionally, we are proposing the reduction of our books account by $10,000. That brings the total to $66,802. This still does bring us slightly above our current budget line item for this current fiscal year. When we had developed the budget initially, we were looking at some investments in books, particularly at the middle school level. We did see a need, however, obviously we need to look at every line item. We are proposing a $10,000 reduction in our supplies accounts. That brings the total to $47,265. That is slightly below this current fiscal year budget. We are proposing the reduction of $10,000 in our building consultant account. This consultant's account, or this proposal was intended to hire a firm to look at our courtyard area. We identified that as an area of improvement. It is currently all asphalt, and we're looking to down the road make it a more friendly learning environment and recess area for our students. And as part of that capital improvement plan, we were going to work with a consultant to design a new plan. as part of this budget proposal, we are looking to defer that investment, another year, to bring that number down. We are proposing the reduction of $7,114 in our technology account. So that would defer some of our replacement cycles. So as you know, in our technology budget, we do have replacement plans for our one-to-one devices, our staff laptops and computers, our interactive displays, so we're just pushing that schedule back a year, slightly. We are proposing $10,000 reduction in our field trips account. So this was our first year that we were looking to start to fund that account. We have been fortunate to have the cost of our field trips funded via fundraising and through the PTO in years past. However, we feel that those field trips are an integral part of our curriculum, and it should be utilized via or funded via the operating budget. So this was the first year that we were going to start phasing in funding for field trips to minimize the burden on our families and the PTO. And that would be ramped up over a number of years to fully fund those field trips. However, we are proposing that we defer that a year as well. We are proposing the reduction of our furniture account by $10,000. So we've made some investment over the last couple of years in furniture. However, that's been primarily at the elementary school side, and we are looking to, we have identified the middle school as an area of improvement for furniture. So that is something that we do want to address. However, we are proposing to defer that item. I will note that if we have available funds at the end of this year, that is an opportunity that we could potentially come to the board and ask to invest in some additional furniture, if that's something the board's interested in. We are proposing the reduction of $77,760 in our bus transportation account. So we, as you know, at the last meeting, we did propose a staggered elementary and middle school start time. That would provide for just the opportunity to separate different ages, so the middle school and the elementary school students. We would hope that would improve behavior on the buses, and it also would provide us additional instructional space for that 45 minutes, both in the morning and the afternoon. We do have some space constraints in the building, so that would offer us a little flexibility. However, we did hear your feedback on that item, so we removed that from our proposal, and we, however, as part of that work that we did with first student, with the staggered start time, we also did a refreshed route analysis of all our buses for the current schedule. And that's based additionally on our declining enrollment, and we did determine that we can reduce one bus route with our current schedule. I will note that will likely result in slightly longer routes and also less margin for error when it comes to bus driver shortages or when we do need to cover. And finally, we are proposing the restructuring of the unified art schedule so that the PE teacher is also teaching the health curriculum. This would result in the reduction of a health educator, and that would be a reduction of $149,447. So those 9 items, do constitute, a total of $319,321, that we are, recommending to the board.
Would you finish on that, should we close public comment at this point? To the board. Just leave it open. Or close it, okay, so can I get a motion to close it?
You just have to close it as the chair.
Okay, so we'll close at 5:05, thank you. Okay, all right, and so anything from the board on, what we just heard?
Proposals. Proposals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the top 7 with, I think that those are good proposals to reduce the supplies, the furniture, the technology. I mean, I know all this stuff is necessary, and I think I'll start this part of the budget thing saying that, like, nobody wants to be here to do this today, as far as like take money out of the school, but we have to act on what taxpayers voted on. So just, at the end of the day, there's gonna be people that are upset about all of this, but this, you asked us to do our job, this is part of the job. It's gonna be hard, it's gonna be difficult, and nobody wants to take money out of the school. We'll have to do better, everyone as a whole, from top to bottom, left to right, to get word out to pass budget, and that's, again, taxpayers felt that they didn't wanna pass this budget this year, and I can't force anyone how to vote. So we're definitely gonna have to go through this, and, you know, at the end of the day, we have $300,000 basically to cut, so I think the top 7, the SAS, the books, supplies, building consultant, technology, field trips, and furniture, I'm for removing those from this budget. I think that's,
So like
Let's
Alyssa
start here.
said, can I chime in? The 10,000, she, mentioned maybe getting it up to 20,000 for the books. Taking it off,
Say
right?
again? Say again?
The second line item for the 10,000 to reduce the books account.
Yeah,
Alyssa Dowd, she mentioned to reduce it by 20, right? Is that okay?
I think going out of the books account makes more sense than some of the other things that we're looking at. And again, I know this makes it difficult. What about the furniture? Is there any way to cut more out of the furniture budget? I mean, I feel like furniture is probably the last thing that we should be necessarily worried about, when coming with this budget. And we've got teachers and all sorts of other stuff to deal with, so can we suspend the entire furniture account for the year and look to add stuff, like you said, if we have some rollover from this current fiscal year, and there are some absolute needs, not wants, in the furniture section, then we can talk about maybe purchasing something at the end of the year, but I think when we're looking to cut this amount of stuff, I think furniture needs to be number 1 on the list.
So the total furniture account is $15,500.
Okay.
so Matt, where it says supplies, what exactly is that for supplies? Is that supplies that are coming out of the teachers' classrooms, or is that supplies coming out of clerical?
Yeah,
So
that's
who's gonna actually lose the supplies?
classroom supplies.
And just a quick question with the supplies, do we have a line that we supplied supplies for SAS still, cause there was a separate line at one time? Is that anymore, what we used to
no.
have?
So no, and
Okay.
since I've,
So that's not
There's
the
never
supplies
been-
for SAS, that's
Correct.
supplies for the school.
we do not buy supplies for
I
SAS.
think the teachers pay enough out of their pocket, and I just
Yeah.
don't think that's a friendly cut right there, so if we can just, I would think X that out for the moment. And then the other thing too, I wanted to get on to technology, because I know this may sound a bit harsh, but I would like to take these away for a little bit, so cutting back on keeping on replenishing them year after year, because I'd rather have a piece of paper and pen in front of me tonight. So I don't, think, how much of that, what is that line exactly? Because do we really need new computers this year. I mean, mine at home last longer than a year. And I know we have the schedule, but what is that full line amount for
So,
the Chromebooks?
so it's really the new incoming class, but Chromebooks is $30,000. That's the replacement cycle.
But if we hold the replacement cycle, we still have enough to cover everybody coming in on the 5th when the 8th go out, correct, for now?
Well, a lower grade level might not have Chromebooks, and we might be able to reuse some,
You can
but
use the 8th grade ones,
potentially,
so how can we do it?
their Chromebooks have a short lifespan, but yet, that's a possibility.
You know,
I think the kids would benefit from less Chromebook
Yes.
use in that first and second grade levels, the younger grade
we'll
levels,
bring them up, share.
it just, again, cuts have to be made. I'd rather have computers than humans.
Yep, me too.
So I'm trying, so the restructure the middle school unified art schedule, it's 149,447. What is the salary for the teacher alone? I had it and I can't find it. Is it 97 or 95? For the health teacher? Was it 95 or 97?
No.
Because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to figure out the difference between, there's a reason, of the salary of the health teacher to the 149,447, because I know that's not what the salary is. So that includes benefits.
Full benefits.
Okay, so if we took out, I'm just trying to figure this out, if we took out the salary, what does that leave for benefits?
I think it's in.
I know I had her salary, there's a reason I'm doing this.
No, I need it. So
I can get it in a moment.
did this, I mean, I don't know which one she would be under, but that's basically.
Yeah, that's the health, that's what, yeah, so that's the
Oh,
health, but
okay.
then there's dental.
There's other
Yeah.
benefits, okay.
So if I can have her salary, then I can see what the difference is, and then I can try to figure out what I was doing on the other end. I know it sounds crazy, I'm just before I say something, I don't know,
No, I get it.
you know.
I got you. So where did we leave off with the Chromebooks?
30,000.
I think it's time to make a,
Yeah, cause I'm very against cutting a teacher in a whole position.
Yeah.
That's gonna put so much on our teacher and music teacher, the PE teacher,
I know it can have big implications on band and music, like the
Yeah.
whole unified arts schedule. And it might make it difficult to form a band because other people are gonna have to take 50 kids into something, which is
Yeah,
impossible. So we definitely have to look at all
I know,
that. And I
but
think,
maybe
again,
other teachers.
$35,000 for computers for this year, we can add them into the budget for next cycle. And again, like, we have to get people to pass things, but this is the year that, this isn't fun. It's
So
not fun for anybody.
So the salary
Yeah.
is 94,689.
Okay, so if the salary is 94,689, is it fair to say, and I know I'm kinda like reaching, so if it's 149,447, and we subtract the 94,689, that's 54,78. Is that amount an average for most employees for benefits and, for a benefit package, would you say?
It's roughly average.
Say
yeah.
50.
Yeah.
Say 50. All right, I know, I can mention some things if you want.
Yeah, and I think that's what we're here to do,
Okay.
and if we
Do you
even
wanna
need
talk to
time.
bus thing first since it's on their proposal?
Yeah.
Sure, go ahead,
So
that sounds good.
Yeah,
if we stagger the buses, it says we're gonna save $155,000, is that correct, Matt? If the buses are staggered, we save $155,000, or,
So yes, staggered 155, keep it the same, it's 77.
77?
So what would, sorry, Pat, go ahead, I didn't mean to cut you off.
So, I don't think that this is ideal, but it is a proposal that saves a lot of money, and as far as, we're talking teachers and stuff like that. And again, it's the whole board's decision, $155,000 to stagger the buses and having basically a middle school bus and an elementary school bus. I've heard people complaining about behaviors on the bus, older kids versus younger kids in the past. And I know that this is a grossly unpopular proposal, but I figured we would have some unpopular proposals because of the nature of this beast. But $155,000 for staggering classes by 45 minutes
But
seems beneficial.
I understand, but my problem is, so what would be the hours of the middle school if we stagger, cause they would be the later,
Yeah, so it'd be 8:45,
2,
3:15.
so how would that affect school sports? It wouldn't?
It would affect the parents that have little kids that go home with their older children.
Yeah, that's true.
Nobody will be home.
Yep.
I don't like that idea.
I've heard a lot of people have reached out to me about that because they panicked because they do have, you know, second graders or first graders and fifth graders and worrying about getting to work on time and making sure that, cause they're not gonna send leave their fifth grade. One thing if you have an eighth grader, or I'm more of an ages parent, so I'm like, let the eighth grader go, but a lot of people don't wanna leave their fifth or sixth grader at the bus stop to fend for themselves while they go to work. Yeah, but I totally get, cause I don't want a kind of person,
No.
a teacher.
The time thing too, I know when I was on the board, we did a lot of study, and this is a big, I mean, it may work, it may be something that does have to work, but it's something that we just kinda need to get out there a little bit more to hear from people, I think. If that would be a suggestion, because we don't have to make a drop dead decision tonight if we can't. If we need another little more time for next week, then that's what it takes. I just, on the time thing, and I just want, you know, we talked about when do kids start learning, and our things came back at it was 9 o'clock in the morning, that kids' brains really start to absorb and learn, and of all ages. So, the time thing to me is a good conversation, but a big one. If we have to stagger because we're gonna keep the PE teacher, then that's what we're gonna have to do. I am not in favor of cutting teachers. Myself, personally, I want to add teachers to the middle school, particularly right now. I feel like, and I'm gonna say this, because I don't hear this often enough, the academics of our kids is unacceptable, okay? I'm not blaming any of you. I feel like you need the support from the SAU. You need the support from us. The parents need to support, and we all need to support together, and I don't think we have been for a long time now. And this is being new, sitting here with all of them. And you know, the math and reading, I cannot help it, and I'm gonna say it every single meeting that I'm sitting here. We have to do something. We have kids going off to high school in a couple of months. Can everybody in this room tell me they are 100% ready like every other district within the SAU? Cause if you can, please tell me now, cause my heart breaks for those kids. And the 7th graders, and the 6th graders, and the 5th graders, and how are we gonna fix this? And that is why we all need each other big time. And it is for the academic piece. And we've gotta find a way to resolve it, and resolve it like now. So, that's all I'm gonna say. The staggered time to me, if you had to say, we're gonna have to stagger 45 minutes versus cutting a teacher, I'm gonna tell you what, we're gonna have to figure out the staggering. Whether it's have a public meeting, community, we can have morning, YMCA can come in, they were here before. The Boys and Girls Club was here before. If we need sitters in the morning to help out, there's a lot of things that we have kind of pushed away for some reason. They're not here anymore. They used to be. They had a great program. I remember being in the gym listening to them. So there are options. And I think we need to look at all options. If we have to have that sitting time, well then that's what we need until we can get the other kids here. I don't know. But I'm just saying, throwing it out there. I'm open for that more than I am saying bye to a teacher.
So I think we do spend a lot of money on things, and I think a lot of the money we spend, we don't always utilize. And this is probably not gonna make people happy, but, and again, I'm one person, so I haven't obviously spoken to the board about this at all. They have no idea what I'm gonna say, because it was kind of like a last minute thing. We have David Hobbs, who we pay for the SAU for curriculum. And we're always reflecting back to how the curriculum is different. I did notice we do have a curriculum coordinator. The contract does run out at the end of this year. The salary on that is $107,328. But if you add in there whatever that, there's like a little stipend or something that totals $110,431, and that's before benefits. Then we have a vacant principal position. We could take Tim Dow, we could have him float between the two principals. That would be another $106,000, $682 before benefits. That would total $217,000, $113,000. Then you have SAS, which was $35,000, they gave up, which was nice. That gets us to $252,113. The benefits, Matt said, would be approximately $50,000 per position, that's $100,000. We are only negative $67,887 without the benefits, so that would bring you way over $320.
Can I speak to that, please?
Sure.
Okay. It's clear that there's a trust issue here. I wasn't here before, so I can't speak to that, but I can speak to what's happening right now. And I appreciate everyone's words, but respectfully, if you think that one assistant principal can work between two very different complexes and do it well, I'm gonna respectfully disagree with that. If you came and you watched what Mike, and it's unfortunate that Mike is gonna leave, and I do, and then what Brian and Tim do, and think that one person can be between, we are kind of two separate complexes, it would not go well, in my eyes, because you're asking for us to raise achievement, yet you're asking to take somebody away, actually asking to take two people away, and I'll speak to the other one in a second. Two people away that are really working hard to help support all the people sitting there and all the parents who are at home. What does that look like? Less time being in classrooms. We're trying to work that as it is. Less time being in meetings. I mean, people will say to you, have you been to meetings? Do I wish that we could go? So in terms of the AP sliding between, and I mean, obviously Brian will speak to that, I do not see how we could do a really good job of that, respectfully. In terms of the curriculum person, can I get up? So I don't know if I'm in front of the camera or not. It's a good job.
Why is this all made up? Why was there a reason that they thought this was gonna come about?
Well, Kelly,
I'm only asking. That was quick.
Yeah, when push comes to shove and we have to cut 319,
Yeah.
that's a lot of money.
But
And Brian and I respectfully went through probably every line of that budget. Do we ever wanna cut staff? No, cause when you give, you never get back. And I'm sure everybody here can speak to that. So in thinking about what are some other options on our budget line, that was definitely one of them that we considered. And I won't tell you that we didn't look at it, because we probably had 8, 9, 10 different iterations. Well, if we cut technology, like you just said, well, if we get rid of the 35, but when you have to do the math, I'm not a great math person, but when you do the math and you have to come to 319, it comes to people who do a job, who are at, 149, 447, and then thinking about, are the buses gonna go, are the buses not gonna go, is that gonna work, are we willing to negotiate that? Then we have to think about, well, what else would be on the plate next? So that is why that job description I copied off to share with you. And then I can speak to it, and Brian can jump in whenever he wants to, because you know me, I'll talk for a while. I can speak to what that position does, and in terms of supporting staff. So people are like, well, what does that person do? Dave Hobbs runs the SAU. Our person, and Brian used to have one, I didn't know that until the other day, our person slides between two schools, not easy to do. What do? I mean, I could go through this list, you know, because people can't see it on TV obviously, and tell you what that curriculum person does. They bring in coaches, they coach teachers, they look at the SAS scores, they look at the NWEA, they go to vertical team meetings, they look at materials with staff. They just examine the modules that we have for, you know, the state testing, that every single person in this room wants our kids to do well, all of us. That's why we're here, that's why we're doing the work. They analyze data, they look at interventions, they do the Title 1, 2, 3, and 4 grant. If you think that we could take that on, we could never do that. And Dave can't do it. Because he's doing all the other schools that are in our, so I am passionate about this, just like you all
Can I go
are.
back to what you just said, he's doing all the other schools?
Well,
that don't
he's
have-
doing, he's doing curriculum for the entire SAU.
Do they have their own curriculum, full-time?
I can't
people in the
speak
other
to anybody
districts?
else, but I could just speak to this.
Do they?
We have curriculum coordinators at Northampton and Seabrook and Winnicott, correct.
Full-time?
And there are stipended positions.
At LAS, we have 2 teachers who are stipended for curriculum liaisons. And Southampton, because they're so small, Michelle Witt sits in on our curriculum meetings.
I'm gonna give you 2 vignettes that happened this year. One 5th grade student doesn't really like to read, doesn't really like the class he's in for reading. So the curriculum person, you know, we spoke, and this student is now going to the elementary school and reading to younger kids. Why? So his fluency, so he can become a better reader, so he can feel good about himself. Sorry, I'm getting emotional. The other day, he's walking down the ramp, I'm like, hey, how's it going? Oh, were you just over at the elementary school? Yeah. How's it? He goes, best part of my day. Best part of my day, that I now feel good about myself as a reader. Second vignette, you know, older student, set up an ELO for her, because she's going to high school. You know what? She's thinking about her career path and where she's been and what she wants to do. This is the first time we've done that here. I know they do it at the high school, so I can't speak to what that looks like, but I can speak that those are 2 scenarios that person helped facilitate on behalf of your children. So I am sorry I'm getting emotional.
That's okay.
That's
You
okay.
like real, you real.
Colleen, when we were in the budget meetings, remember? And we all talked about not wanting to cut teachers? Remember? We talked about that?
Hey, I
No,
know
I'm
who
only
I
asking
wanna.
you, do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
So don't you think it's kind of frustrating when we sit here and we look at a cut and they have the nerve to bring another teacher in front of us when we already said it's not even going to be one thing we're gonna consider? And it's still brought in front of us, and I appreciate you going to bat for that, but who's going to bat for the teachers like you just did when they wanna cut?
I think that they got up and eloquent.
They did for themselves, but administration didn't do
Well,
that
I
for them
think
like
that
you
we
did.
had a really hard decision to make, Kelly, and I will respectfully say that I would never wanna cut a teacher, but when we have this problem, and the problem is 319 large, and our solution is, and it's not, you know, it's not a great solution. I had that conversation with the UA staff. It's not an ideal solution in any stretch of the imagination. But we have someone who does have another cert that can fill that need, because I think there is a need for health, and I don't think anybody would disagree with that. So here we have this problem. It's a potential solution. Is it the best solution? Of course it's not.
No, because we're
But
saying-
every other line that we had to look at, the best solution, quite honestly, is the buses. Any community that I've ever been in, it's a staggered time. Thank God my youngest daughter, who's 6.5 years younger than her sister, was on a different bus, because I didn't want her on the middle school bus. So the time was different, they got to sleep longer. I know that impacts families, but that's an ideal solution. It also impacts the people sitting here
It does.
who are gonna be affected by it, but 120 kids go to SAS in the elementary side. So there are some kids whose needs will be taken with daycare. I don't wanna minimize that at all. I was a working mother. I had one kid on one time zone and the other kid on the other time zone. I had to figure it out. Was it easy? No, it's not easy, but when you look at that large amount of money, you have to make decisions that are not ideal, like Patrick said, they're not ideal for anybody. Nobody in this room would say, oh yeah, get rid of all the Chromebooks. Yeah, okay, forget the playground. Oh, by the way, field trips, good luck with that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think anybody here would disagree with any decision, but we're in a situation where we have to make choices. But at the end of the day, what do we want? You want your kids to achieve better, as do we. Nobody's happy about that. You also want them to be safe. You also want to support every single one of those adults and parents that are watching at home.
Okay, Brian, you're up.
You know what, I share Colleen's passion, and I think one thing that hasn't necessarily been said is that last year we cut a literacy coordinator, and all of those responsibilities are already with our curriculum coordinator. So right now that person's already doing 2 positions or more worth of work, overseeing our Title I, our grants. And the other piece of it is, thinking about Mr. Dow running between 2 buildings, knowing how our administrative team is already so busy that the idea of cutting any more in there, we've lost administrators, we can't keep administrators running us any more thin. And Lauren is a part of that leadership team, is not going to move our schools forward.
Can I say one more thing too?
Oh,
I'm sorry,
go ahead.
Brian. You need to trust us. I know you don't trust us right now.
Not when you wanna cut a teacher.
You need to trust that we made a decision based on probably the worst scenario. And how do we build that back?
So, what if I play devil's advocate for a second?
Mhm.
What about, because we just talked about Northampton and the other ones having their curriculum coordinators and they're probably part-time. I know Northampton is, but what if we combined, don't kill me, a curriculum coordinator with the assistant principal, like Northampton does? And I know you guys don't like to hear Northampton because I know they're a third of us, but just enlighten me because I don't know, this isn't my.
That's like asking me to be the principal, assistant principal, or asking the ELA teacher. Teach ELA, by the way, you can teach social studies too. It's 2 separate entities, quite honestly, that mesh together.
Okay.
So you wanna do evaluation, you wanna do scheduling, you wanna go to team meetings, you wanna do lunch duty, or maybe not. And you wanna talk to every parent that calls you because their kid got a voicemail that they're not happy about, or someone's having, they're homeless and they're gonna live in a hotel. And you also wanna manage Title I, II, III, and IV grants. All of the interventionists write the grant. Write the grant.
I
So I'm just
understand. No, I get it. I understand. I just brought that up because of what was brought up and also because I saw that Northampton did it, so I was just throwing it
What
out
are
there.
they doing, Lacey?
I don't know how many kids Northampton has.
What do
They have a third of what we have, but
Yeah,
I
it's
noticed that the
600.
assistant principal is also Becca is also the curriculum coordinator.
I can speak to
I just
that.
looked that up while we were.
Good to know.
I'd love to speak to that.
Yeah,
I think I
please.
need a mic for people at home.
Share right
coached
there
heavily,
with
yeah.
Mary.
So, Northampton for a number of years had a full-time curriculum coordinator with, a third of the students. And the reason why they were they worked. And the reason why they were able to split that position this year, it's half-time AP, half-time curriculum coordinator, is because they've established that footing with aligned curriculum, with program adoption, with all that. The reality of having a split position here, assistant principal and curriculum coordinator, the reality of that would be we wouldn't have a curriculum coordinator. You go see Mike and go watch him what he does in a day. He is all over the place. We would be putting out fires. We would not be implementing Eureka. We would not be implementing foundations. We would not have any of the title grant facilitation that the curriculum coordinator, that role does. We would not have people working directly with teachers. I understand that I preside over the curriculum coordinator group. I don't sit down in our vertical teams, I don't sit down in our curriculum teams and work with those teachers. That's the role of the curriculum coordinator, and it's super important. And there's one last piece. So all the things that were, remember when we were really proud of that summer program that we had this past year? where there were so many enriching opportunities for kids all summer. Remember that opportunity that Brian and Lauren put on with the whale unit last year? Like, those are the things that brought the community together, and those are the things I think that many of us are speaking about tonight. And those were spearheaded directly because we have somebody whose primary job is to collectively pursue and approach those things and fund them.
So I'm just looking at, what Colleen gave me. Did we have a curriculum coordinator before 2018?
No, 19 was the first year.
Okay, so
Right.
this is when the position was created.
Am I wrong? Yeah, that's
Oh,
right.
it was 2021.
We have one prior to
Oh, I have
that.
it qualified right here.
I'm just asking questions because I don't know the answer. I'm not being,
That
not
was-
trying to.
Again, I'm not
I
trying to
legit
debate, that was
do
my
not know
first,
the
that was literally
answer.
my first year, so I'm not positive.
So
there was a break in between. We
Okay.
had one, we had none, and then we had one.
And then now we have, okay, so this is the one that we have now. I just didn't know if it was a consistent, we just had a new person in the position, or just asking questions because I'm just trying
It
to.
was 21 to 23.
Questions are good, Lacey. Keep asking.
Well, when I ask, I really don't know.
But that's good.
I'm not trying to be.
And I think to piggyback on what Lacey's saying, so you do not work directly in any school where they have a halftime curriculum? You don't help out at all in any capacity within the school
So,
with our feeder districts?
so we have a number of district-based professional development days, yes, and we have a number of SAU-based professional development days. On the SAU-based professional development days, yeah, I'm in there, I'm in the mix, working with teachers, doing, like, creating those collaborative competencies and standards. However, there's a whole nother bucket of professional development that goes on here that's program-specific, like, the SAU doesn't do training on Eureka math, for example, right? That's something that Seabrook owns, Seabrook purchases, and there's training associated with that.
So that is a curriculum, it's not a program.
Yeah, for Eureka's.
Eureka's a program that's purchased.
Okay,
That's, you
it's
need
not a
to,
curriculum?
it's, I wouldn't call it a curriculum, no.
No?
No.
So what is the curriculum of it then?
It's predicated on the Common Core state standards for
Okay.
math, which everybody has adopted across the SAU.
Right, because Seabrook's the only one that uses Eureka.
There, Seabrook is the only one that uses, sorry, it's Eureka Squared, but
Yep,
yes.
yeah, that's what I mean.
Yep.
How
We have
come
two
we're the only
using-
one choosing that, do we know?
Well, there's a number of reasons. There are adoption processes at each one of our districts. So the teachers would get together, evaluate different programs, and choose one that works best for their needs, their kids, their budget.
Okay.
So just to answer the question though, there are a number of days where it's training
Yeah.
related to specific school needs. Yes.
Right. And you're, just a question, Brian, do you have an access room where if you have problems with kids during the day, is there a room or a person working that the kids can go and get help with? I can't remember off the top of my head who the person is, but I feel like we moved somebody from the middle school to the elementary end for that,
So we have what's called the zones program.
okay?
So it's our zones room, and we have support. We have places to go for students who need regulation drug plans, and it's significantly benefits our school every minute of the day. It's a really popular, strong program.
It's a room though, right, where, like a classroom, is it,
It's
that the
an
kids can
office.
go in and do their work and kinda get themselves together a little bit?
It's an office. It's more like students that check in, check out. I need a
Okay.
5-minute break. I need a 10-minute break. I need registration. I need. There are lots of students that have plans. I think last I checked, there were over 60 students that were in and out of that room throughout
Okay.
a term. It's significantly benefited the education in our school.
And when we brought that over to your end, do we have that here still too, will we have a specific room? Like we used to have Miss Doyle, I don't remember way back when she used to have a room, where some kids needed an hour, some kids needed a day, some kids needed a week. And they worked, they did their schoolwork, they did everything they needed to do, so you sort of have that just in a smaller capacity at your end, but we don't have that on this end, right? Oh, so, that is it, that right there, because the reason I asked that is because we're talking about assistant principal, we know they're leaving, But if we could alleviate and take away some of the traffic that you have to see in a day, and the traffic, the assistant principal, by having that zone classroom for the middle school, and I'm pretty sure we're looking at staff, and I bet we could have somebody hop into that position and help us with that, and that would take away an enormous amount of discipline, stress, pull, kids in your class, your office every day. If it's working for the elementary end, I think it will work on the middle school end, so that is an option.
So can you clarify what you mean by that? I'm not really
So
sure what
Brian-
you mean by that.
Brian has what I would really call that classroom where kids can go and have the, I don't know what you wanna call it, settle down time, teaching time.
I thought she did in school, Doyle.
It was,
And then
it
it
was
went to
not,
Rogers.
it wasn't called, ISS, so it was like a planning room.
The planning room.
Yeah, the planning room. So not really an in-school suspension room, it was a planning room for kids that were struggling throughout the day. So we sent the person that was doing that on this end over to your end, but we don't have that.
It's a shared staff, she's located in my building, however, she still does work. She's at 50, she's between both buildings,
So she works between both buildings and it works, right?
well, she does a completely different job than my assistant principal, they're
Yeah.
not even close to the same.
So I'm just throwing stuff out there.
I only brought up the floating of the principal because there were, I guess, several trips this year where you both were out, so the building is left to Rhode Island.
He did go to Rhode Island, it's not true.
Okay, well, that was documented wrong, that's interesting, thank you for telling me that.
The only
Got a
time they
quick, got a
were
quick
both up
question
that
on
I'm
numbers
aware
again,
of.
real quick. If you can, I'm trying
Go back.
to map this out here, bear with me. If you see
So I
smoke
figured
coming
that
out
we
of my
could-
ears, it's just the brain working. Minus 35,000, cause SAS is being taken over by FOSC, correct?
Yep,
The next line, if we reduce the books account, you have 10,000, what can we reduce that by? Like, can we go, you said it's $20,000 in the books account?
Jen suggested a number of 20,000, we didn't provide a number.
Do you have a number that we can cut the book? Yeah.
Well, yes, I do. The total books account is currently 66,802. So then,
Can we cut it in
if you
half
cut
by
it,
30,000?
I mean, that would be
we do use books.
difficult.
What kind of books
Yeah,
are they?
what kind
Are
of books is
they,
this?
are they for the library? Are they for classwork?
Yeah,
They're like, they include consumables, they're in
Supplies, 10 grand, we got in there for supplies, and that's, we don't wanna really take any more of the teacher supplies. The where am I now?
Building
Consultant
consultant is 10,000.
supplies. Consultant is 10 grand,
Field trips.
field trip is 10 grand, technology, you have 7.4, what can we cut in as far as technology that's more than $7,000?
So we already answered that.
What
There's
was
a
that?
I'm
Maria,
trying to
there's a
do-
total of an additional 30 in that line.
30,000.
There's 30,000 or
That's it, that's the whole
37,000.
line.
So I think third.
I just
think
have it
you
written
could do-
down, so it's like, you said additional 30,000, I don't know if it's 37,000 or if it's 30.
I mean, in reality, if you wanted to like cut it to nothing, it'd be, I think 35,700 is the bottom line number. Like if you wanna eliminate the replacement cycles for the Chromebooks and, yeah,
And what did we say we could cut the furniture by?
15,500.
Is that it for both ends? That's a full amount of furniture for both schools?
Yes.
So Matt, it says, the nutritional worker that we have, he used to make 18,000 something, and now it says he makes 36,050. Did he go part-time to full-time, isn't that what it was?
I'm sorry, which position?
So the nutritional worker in the cafeteria, his salary was 18,889 in 22, 23, I think it was, or 21 and 22, and then now it shows 36,000 050, so that's only a difference of, 17,000, but does that include, does he get benefits? Is that a full-time position?
So that position, I think you're referring to the chef position.
Yeah.
If you recall, I think it was last year, we changed that position from a part-time to a full-time position.
Right.
So
Yep.
that increased both the salary and the benefits.
Okay, so how much would that be total? The difference between, so the the difference in pay was 17,161. And then if you add benefits, do you know if that's a family plan or a single plan? Because do we really need a full-time, is it 40 hours? Is that what it is? What's the hours on that position? Because I think for like, I don't know, 15, 20 years, we had a part-time chef. I'm just trying to figure out what the, because if it's around 50,000 for benefits,
So,
plus 17,
so that's,
like 67,000.
That benefits package would not be in that range.
yeah,
You're not
that,
paying the same retirement
I
benefits.
believe that's I think that's a single benefits package. It's 37.5 hours.
Okay, so that's, say 30,000 a year.
You're saying in benefits?
Yeah. I think I'm just struggling with the whole bus route thing, and it has nothing to do with me, because I bring my kids to school, but there's a lot of people that start work at 8 o'clock in the morning, and they have to get their kids here. And I feel bad just all of a sudden uprooting someone's whole entire schedule without giving them at least a year's notice.
So that benefits package is probably just under $20,000.
Okay.
Did you wanna say something about?
Yeah, this past summer, we really tried hard to get a YMCA program here in the morning. YMCA had already committed, they were really, really excited about being here, and we had to get to 12, we only had 2. So they are committed to trying again next year. It was something that was really successful here in the past. So we've been really involved with Y over the course of the year, and that's a conversation we could have for before school care. And like we said earlier, a third of our school already stays for SAS after school, and tutoring and a number of other things.
And we have the rec after school
And the
too
rec,
that we bus,
so-
so we have a couple choices.
We've got some safety nets in place for those situations already.
That's good. So, and this is just a year, we gotta figure this out, and hopefully the budget will pass again next time around.
So am I hearing that your highest priority is saving the health teacher, and then
Don't lose a teacher.
and then second is, so if we did a staggered start time and was able to save the $155,000, in addition with the $35,000 that we hadn't accounted for that we're saving from SAS, we could potentially reduce the BCBA position that's in the budget. That isn't an actual person, it's a new position.
Currently contracted.
So we're currently contracting out those services,
For the what position?
the BCBA. Now, that's
Does everybody know what that is?
it's a board certified behavior analyst.
There you go.
So we wouldn't recognize that full salary and savings. We would have to contract out services at about $90,000. So, but what that would do is it would save us $54,822. So between that and the second bus, we could, and then some slight adjustments to some of these discretionary accounts, we could, save that health teacher position as an option.
See the smoke coming out of my ears?
Go ahead.
Simple math. Alright, SAS cut $25,000 plus the books cut by $35,000, what did I say? SAS is being cut by $35,000. If we cut the books by $20,000, the supply, just go with the initial proposal of $10,000, the consultant by $10,000, the technology, cut it by $25,000, the field trip by $10,000, the furniture by $15,500, and switching the bus schedule at $155,519 gives us $281,000 in cuts without cutting the thing. That leaves $38,000 left to cut. Where can we? And now we can go. Those are just what my suggestions and quick math are doing, just to try to save a position. So the
Do we have a list
BCBA, if we take that out,
That's 54,800.
What was the position that we just hired through the deliberative session? The one that was in the meeting prior to the deliberative session? I think the initials were MC. I don't know if I can say that staff names.
I'm not sure what you're
I
looking
don't think any of us are what you're talking about.
Do you want me to say the name?
Probably not.
Don't.
Well, I'm just asking, I mean, it was the one we went out in the hallway and we approved the
Special
position.
education teacher position? It's a special education teacher position.
That we, do we add one?
No, you had a vacancy in your building, we haven't been able to.
The one that says
fill.
vacant and then it says access on it, on the line item? Okay. I'm just wondering, I can't remember if that what that was.
Maria, can I add something quickly
Sure.
about the staggered busing that we talked about when it first came up, another benefit of it. I understand the daycare issues and I think we could work with that with the community. One of the big issues that we have in this building, both sides, is space. And so what that would give each school, one in the morning and then the other school in the afternoon, would each get a 45-minute block of time that they might be able to utilize some other space. I know when we talk about the teachers that are doing special education support, they're really having trouble finding spaces and groups and where they can do small group work, and some of them are in pods, and they've spoken to me about that. So that's just another benefit of having a little more elbow room during a 45 in the morning and a 45 in the afternoon where they could spread out a little. Just another benefit of what that might do. And like Colleen, you know, I'm used to seeing that split staggered time also, and it does work really well. So you don't have all your kids coming in at once, you know, in both sides of the campus. It does work out, and we just have to help our parents have the supports in place that they need in order to make it work for their family. And whether that's offering more childcare, however we're gonna do it, and what it would prevent on having all of those ages on the bus together would probably be ideal as well.
And then we don't need the extra, bus monitors maybe that we just put
It
in
may.
there that without,
It may,
cause
yeah.
those weren't in the budget either, and I, you know, and I know, like, I would love to see a bus monitor on every bus, because we had them when I went back to school, but in a situation where we have a budget that failed, adding any positions, I don't know how that came about, but like, we really should try not to do that. Listen, we pay that bus company a lot of money. And if they're having problems on their bus and their staff needs help, they need to reach out in their pocket a little bit too and help us out, because, and I think that might, you know, that might help.
So just to clarify, First Student isn't responsible to provide bus monitors.
I didn't say they were.
We,
I said maybe they could,
Let's
if
just
they have
clarify,
any
it wasn't one
problems.
bus monitor either.
Yeah, it was a lot, it was 3, right?
so yeah, those
Four.
are,
I don't
that's
know.
existing staff members that we've, that are provided additional hours to do so. And as I've mentioned before, if the board would like to direct us to not have bus monitors, you can take a motion at any point in time.
We have one for the rec bus, right?
I have it in writing.
You never told us that, and you also said to the newspaper there was one additional bus monitor and there was 3.
Okay, so we can stop doing that, right? That's not something the board voted on to do.
No.
And we have one that goes to the rep because that bus is like packed full, I think,
Yeah, well,
of after school and all that, but there was 3 more. Those are added positions, no matter how you look at it. Every time you put some type of position in and you're paying for that, that is an added expense that was not budgeted for that position. So honestly, I think if I had time to go through the whole budget, I could have a field day with things that will not affect staff or kids. And I think we need to form that relationship on, moving to the future to make sure that we don't have those type of things.
absolutely.
So take
So,
that out.
like I said, here's what I have for the math. With
Yep.
with the BCBA, current position that's not being occupied by an actual person in the building.
Yep.
All those budget proposals that I mentioned cutting, altering the bus schedule, that brings us down to $331,000 in cuts.
There you go.
Which then gives you the additional 11,679 to reallocate back into where we think that it can be line itemed out. But again, like, this is not fun. This is not, like, I'm not happy to be here doing this, but like, I'm trying to crunch the numbers. And I know not everyone's gonna be happy about a staggered bus, but I'm sorry, $155,519 is pretty astronomical when we're talking about cutting 319. Like, does it suck to cut supplies, consultants, technologies by a whole bunch? I get it, but
Then you have that left over, that could you put back?
then we can put that back in a BCBA position that isn't being currently operated by anybody, that makes sense to remove that, and then if it's being contracted out, the services are being contracted, I can't go back and make anyone vote differently. Like, this is what we have for the year, we have to get everything out, so that's my proposal.
I don't understand why we just signed a 5-year contract with the bus company and all of a sudden we can cut buses, but for the last 4 years, we've been trying to cut buses and we've been told we couldn't. We just signed a contract with them for 5 years. Why all of a sudden now can we cut buses?
That's a good
Or
question.
did we already cut them and we're getting the money at the end of the year, but instead, we're gonna actually see the money instead of not seeing the money?
I don't,
Because how did we sign a 5-year contract with them, but now we can cut buses?
so
Am I missing
we've
something?
always been able to cut buses if we needed to, but those, we have the bus routes based on what our need is. So
Right.
in any given year, we can cut or add buses.
Right, but at the end of the year, if we don't use it, we get money back.
And if we don't use it, we'd be refunded, absolutely.
Right.
So
But
that's,
did we just sign a contract with them?
yeah, for another 5 years.
Right.
So I guess the question is,
But we're not-
when we
again, we
sign the
can-
contract with the bus company, it just means that they're gonna provide us bus services for the year
It's
depending
not for a certain
on
amount of buses?
No.
what the
So-
money is that correct?
Yeah, so how many buses do we use right now?
Currently, there are 11.
11, and we've used all 11?
Well, we've had some driver shortages, so buses have been combined this year.
Yep.
They were combined a lot
So
last
we're
year.
using nine-
We
we've been
received a
using
large
9.
refund last year.
So we've been using 9.
Minus 1 is 10.
It's not ideal. We use whatever they're.
Yeah, no, I know, I'm just asking, we've been using 9.
Not
Addition-
consistently, it's inconsistent, it's different on every day based on driver shortages. However, we keep track and we report back and we work with the SAU to make sure that it's fair to us. So, whenever a bus doesn't come, we note that.
It's, I wouldn't characterize it as 9 on a daily basis. It's, I mean, probably if you average it out, probably 10, which is what we're proposing.
So,
My proposal keeps the teachers in the school, removes the BCBA,
Yep.
understands that we have the hard conversation to have with the buses. Again, not ideal, but it wasn't passed at budget, so again, it's not ideal. And all the other stuff comes out of the miscellaneous funds, which is gonna make it hard to operate, but we don't lose the help, we're not losing a teacher, we're not having to adjust the UA schedules. The band's not gonna be affected, the PE classes are gonna be able to teach PE. I just, me personally, and again, one person here, those numbers work. And that gets us to that golden $319,000. With the removal of the BCBA, again, that'll give us $11,000 and we can add it back in to meet the actual hard number of 319,321.
So if we do the staggered start for 2 buses, that's 155,520. And then if we did supplies at 10, books at 10, furniture at 10, field trips at 10, building consultant at 10, SAS at 35, technology at 23,979, and the BCBA at 54,822, that brings us to the 319,321.
I'm not going any more than 10 on supplies, is what I said. I'm not trying to take it, I mean, that's already a big,
So
And we can move those numbers around if you, I mean, again, we work under a bottom line budget, so, and that's where the administration has that discretion to utilize the funds and, if we're over in supplies, maybe we don't spend as much in books or, furniture, et cetera. And that's our responsibility, similar to how we utilize our staffing, for example, for tutoring or bus monitors or after, for homework, those type of expenditures. So there is some flexibility there as far as individual accounts.
Is there I know most places, they have an amount that before you spend over a certain amount, you have to come to the board, cause like some of the things I've been seeing in here, and I'm not gonna lie, and the amounts of money, I look and go, what is that, and did that come before the board, and I look back at minutes and I'm not seeing it, and it's big chunks, so do you have, like I know the selectmen in town, they have a $5,000, a $2,500, where it has to come to the board if it's over that, if there's an emergency situation, you call the board figures it out. Do we have that, or do you just let Brian, I'm looking at Brian saying that. Is there just a kind of, with the bus monitors, just add that in because it's free spending, you don't have to come to the board after a certain amount?
No.
Well, with
so I
that
think that's
said.
what he was saying about the bottom line budget.
Yeah.
The budget gets approved for
Yeah, that's a
whatever the
big
number
one.
is, and once it's approved by voters,
Yeah.
or default in this situation,
Yeah.
whatever they have left over from the approved or default budget,
Yeah.
they're authorized to move. I know they've come to us with the emergency appropriations for the boiler,
Yeah.
and things of that nature. But I think it gives them the flexibility to, like I said, they cut this, they get the extra $10,000 that wasn't spent in technology, they can take that from that line item.
And we're budgeting 12 to 18 months in advance, so things change, needs change, so we have that discretion now. The board then sees all those expenditures, that's why you look at the accounts payable and the payroll every month. And if you do have an issue with any of that, then that would be your responsibility to let us know, and then if you wanted us to do something differently, then you could direct us to.
Okay, once we get past the budget, we can check on that, cause that's
Because of
good to know.
Yeah.
Alright, so do we wanna make that,
So I feel very uncomfortable
okay, what do you want?
making a motion including the buses, and then Patrick, I completely understand where you're coming from, but until I hear from I just don't think people are, and I know it's hard because we don't wanna cut a health teacher, I know we have to do the tough stuff, but I feel really, really uncomfortable with that.
Do you want conversation and community to come forward to
But
talk about
I'm on board with everything except for that.
Me too.
And
Just the only other thing, and
I understand
it's gonna be,
100%.
it's gonna be a teacher instead, or a human being in a position.
I know.
So,
But there's gotta be something
and
else.
it's for 1 year, we can change the budget. and
Once you
hopefully-
lose something, you
Yeah.
never get it back.
So have we asked the teachers what their thoughts of changing
We
the
have
schedule
to
are?
make this budget pass by next meeting.
Or did the
correct.
teachers, have we asked the teachers what their
that?
thoughts
Would
are?
be-
So the time restraints that we have is that if we're making a personnel change, we we need to notify them by the April 15th. So that's the time constraint.
Our next meeting's in,
I'm just saying parents are gonna eat us alive.
I know, it's not fair.
so
we cut
what
a
about
teacher,
the
we're gonna
curriculum?
need-
Oh,
We're
no
not
matter
cutting
what
the
we do,
teachers,
we're gonna eat
there's
alive.
gotta be something else in this whole budget that we can cut. But we're also changing the teacher schedules. Some of them have kids in other schools, but they may not have staggered schedules. So what are they gonna do when they have to be here later and they've already arranged for their kids in the afternoon who've already gotten out of school? Like, it's not just about our kids, there's not everybody that works in the school, lives in Seabrook and have relatives.
Not to mention half the bus drivers are teachers at the school. A lot of them are
That's
teachers
true,
here.
Joe. That's true.
What was her comment? I
We
said a
have
lot of
some
a
staff
lot of the
that are
bus
bus
drivers are also
drivers.
teachers at the school, so it will affect them too.
This is teachers' EAs.
Maria, can you open?
Yeah, open public comment at 6:05. Go ahead, Kathy.
I just have so many questions, and I,
Oh, well, just, you know what, help us.
I know, I'm sorry.
You want 'em.
I want to include them.
Yeah.
Like, I want to know what they think. I don't want them to be afraid to tell us what they think. And that's what I feel like is happening. Because we need them. Like, we need you guys. I want to know, and again, this is not anything personal against any position. So I want to know if there was a time that we didn't have a curriculum coordinator, like you say, there was a time we didn't, what's the difference of the time when we didn't versus the time that we do? Is there a difference? Is it better? Is it worse? Did it help us? Did it not help us? Because if it's not helping us, if it is helping us, then great, then we need it. If it's not helping us, like, we want to know what you guys think. I want to know what they think. Because we're not in the school. They are the ones that have to teach the kids. They are the ones. They're the ones. So who's ever giving them the direction to do that? Like, do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you want less direction? Like, those are the questions I would want. So I don't want to cut the health teacher. I'll just say that right now. I do not want to cut the health teacher. And my kid doesn't even go here. I don't think that's the answer. The staggered school, I get it. Can we do, like, maybe middle school starts earlier instead of elementary school starts earlier? Or maybe can we start at 7:45 instead of 8? Like, something else. Maybe something else can work for parents. That's what I'm thinking. Like, I don't know. I just really want to hear from them. Because they are the ones that are and they're the answer to all the proficiencies, the academic. It's them. They're the ones. We need them. So I don't want you guys to feel like we don't trust you. Like, that's not what I want. As a parent, I want these guys to want to teach our kids. I don't want them like, oh God, we have to go to Seabrook and these kids, and nobody likes us. Because that's not what I want for them. I don't want you guys to feel like that. Like, and I had to pull my kid out. Not because of you personally, but because my kid is so far behind. It's shocking how far behind my child is. And it's no one person's fault.
We have to do something.
Something has to be done. So that's where I'm coming from. I want to know what the teachers think, and I don't want the teachers to be afraid to say what they think. And I don't know if that's even a thing.
I think this,
We have the person that speaks more now.
Thank you. So again, Alyssa Dow, Seabrook Middle School, 6th grade. I think it's really important to highlight what Brian had mentioned. They tried a before-school program where kids can come in before the school and have someone that's watching them, whether or not it's flipping and have middle school come early, elementary school come later. I don't know what the answer is, but I can guarantee that as a community, whether it's SAS, the Y, the rec, staff, we could easily come together to watch those kids. They can take an early bus, just like we do with a late bus at school, and we can help them. And I think what Mary brought up is that, hey, maybe we could do tutoring in the morning, or maybe we could do the tutoring in the afternoon. Like I do Ram Square during my planning period. Maybe instead of sacrificing my plan, I can do that extra intervention during the morning or afternoon piece. I think that we should really consider the staggered buses, and we would make sure that we take care of the children if we come together as a community. Obviously, nobody wants to leave their kid at the bus stop by themselves. I think that we can problem solve through that.
Then I think that gives us a whole issue of the buses again.
Yeah, because if you're
But when you notice the buses, they're like a couple kids. I've seen empty buses with just a couple kids here. Like, I know that they can make do. We've combined buses before all the time. So, or encourage parents to drive your kids before you go to work. I know that we can work something out with regards to helping.
Is there a way to cut another bus to have 2 buses cut versus staggering? Because if you're gonna do tutoring and stuff in the morning for the older kids, they're gonna have to take a bus too. So,
Pack them in. Like they do when someone's out, they pack to the rec bus, they can pack in for tutoring. You know, we like about 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, you're all together today. Like, we get those announcements all the time. So if we can do it when a bus driver's out, we can do it to make sure we support kids in the morning before the afternoon. Thank you.
And again, kids are kids, but honestly, like trying to find a way to cut buses so that there's less behaviors. They're still gonna have the same kids on the same buses. If they're not fighting with the little kids, they're gonna fight with the older kids. At the end of the day, you have to still hold them accountable. That's not gonna fix behaviors by, they're still on the bus.
No, but today's bottom line is money.
So I know, I'm just telling you, that's not a reason to cut a bus, is because of the behaviors.
And I worry too, because boy, time change, I'm telling you, it was a year. Some of you in the room might remember that, a year before we could make that change. It was a biggie, but go ahead.
Hi, A.K. Walker, 7th grade math teacher. I think you guys, it seems like you guys have your solution. You've done a lot of work. I think staggering the buses makes the most sense. It's a year, yeah, it's gonna be uncomfortable, we're gonna have to make adjustments. I personally think, I've been here a long time, I think the bigger issue is what we're talking about is coming together. All the stakeholders coming together. I think a lot of what I feel like my job has become is more of being a parent than a teacher. And I think in this community, we all know we've got kids going through living in situations that are tough and difficult and are unfair. And there's a lot of relying on the school to fill in, some of those teaching aspects of how to bring up these kids. And I think we just need to get creative. I think the staggered bus saves a teacher. I don't want to lose a teacher. I don't want to lose a curriculum coordinator, and we have great people in this building, in both buildings, and I think, we can come together to make it happen.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Hi, Michelle Knowles. I used to be on the school board years and years ago. I remember Brian, he was a computer guy. But I do believe that we do have to come together and support each other. I mean, look at this room. There's more teachers in here than there are parents. And it is a hard community, but I think we can work together and try to make it better. I've been in the school and more in the elementary school because I have grandchildren here. And I do see the space issue. I see kids out in the hallway getting taught extracurriculum, but at least they're getting taught. But there definitely is a space issue. And on a good note, I came for the pancake breakfast, and I thought it was great that the kids that didn't have parents or grandparents or aunts and uncles that came, their older brothers or sisters came down and spent the time with us, and I just thought that was great. And I just hope that we can all work together, and I plan to be in here and helping out, and I would love to come in and help out whenever I can. And if you need a bus monitor, I'll be on it.
Hi, I'm Erica McMahon. I am a special education teacher and case manager at the elementary school. My first year in Seabrook, I will say, I love that you want to hear from us. And it's hard for us to want to speak because our pay is taken away from us. Or it's contentious. Like, you come here and it just seems like people are attacking each other all evening. And, I have 3 kids. I'm here. I'm spending time on my own to be here with you guys because I'm invested in Seabrook. And I'm here. I mean, I'm all in. I come here. I joined an administrative team that is phenomenal, that I love. They work their butts off.
Lauren is so supportive, and she does so much for both schools. She's constantly running back and forth. We cannot lose her. We cannot lose our middle school teacher, a health teacher. We need to make sure that we do come together, absolutely, but I think it starts here too, because it's not a comfortable place to be. I have people over there who are just shaking.
Well, they don't need to, don't shake.
No, but that's easy to say, but we have people who are flat out coming at our administrators, or coming at us, coming at other people. That's not okay. This is about the kids. We need to remember that. It's not about personal agendas. And you did a bad job, and you did a bad job, and I'm doing a good job, and I don't feel attacking me. You know what? When you're at the front line, you're gonna get attacked. That's your job, right? All of us. Administrators take the heat, school board needs to take the heat. If our community wants to be really upset with you guys, you know what? We can go back and listen. You guys didn't vote for it. Sorry. Like, at the end of the day, can we please just be a team? And not come at each other? Because I've never worked in a school district where it's ever been anything like this. And Seabrook's amazing. Especially, I grew up on the seacoast. I want to be here. I am all in on these kids. But we need to be a team.
I don't see any animosity. It's just weird because it keeps being brought up like we're not a team or like trying to villainize the board. I've been on board for 2 weeks and I've been like, oh, it's just weird.
Well, I think with that said too, Lacey, is that I think the pay thing, and I'm gonna look everyone you in the eye when I say this, that was never gonna happen. And I'm telling you, straight up, I don't care if I was up all night with my phone dinging, I answered every single one of you and said, please don't be afraid of that, that's not gonna happen. And I feel badly that went down the way it did, but there was never a risk of you not getting paid. So we need to put that to bed, because that's not gonna happen, not while we're sitting here anyways, and it's not gonna happen. So we can take that and put it right out the window and fly it down on the beach, because it's not gonna happen. So we can move away from that, and I'm sorry that the scare tactic was put in to top it off on Easter weekend. I mean, everybody was so upset and I can't tell you the numbers of people that reached out, and I'm okay with that, cause my door's always open and my phone's always on. So don't ever think that about us, because it's not gonna happen, I'm telling you.
It's gonna be fixed so that
Never will happen again. So, go ahead.
Thanks.
Laura Lukowski, I'm a kindergarten teacher at the elementary school. I'm also a resident here in town, and I'm also a parent of children that have gone through the school system. I would absolutely not have wanted my children to have not had health in middle school. That sounds absolutely absurd to me. There are so many needs in that age group. That was the one piece I wanted to say. And the other piece that I want to say is, you guys are all working so hard, racking your brains. Patrick's got smoke coming out of his ears, crunching his numbers to figure out this problem. I like the bus idea, and I have to say, I agree it's gonna inconvenience some parents. Maybe it's easy for me to say because my children aren't little and they aren't here anymore, but here's the thing. The town needs to take some responsibility for the fact that they did not pass our budget. I'm saying this as a town member, as a taxpayer. There's going to inconvenience people, but when budgets don't get passed, people get inconvenienced. And I think we have to put some of the responsibility on the residents of the town and what they've got, and the consequences that have come of this.
I have a few more minutes if anybody else wants to jump on up, so we can close public hearing and move on, because this is a little extra special meeting here, so go ahead.
I'll be quick then. Jeff McNally, I taught here for 24 years. I was a student here for 7 years. And I'm very proud to be a teacher here. And this is why I wanted to teach, was to come to Seabrook. And so it's, personal, it's something I'm very passionate about and put my heart and soul into it. And, talking about, some people talking today, I see everybody that I know in the building doing the same thing, putting their heart and soul into stuff, talking to kids, doing everything they can. And I just want to put that out there because it's a huge resource we have here, that people care so much and everything. I really think that in terms of what we could do here is, I like the idea of the buses. As a educator, I know kids, and especially in middle school, getting a little more sleep is important. And that would be really important in terms of losing a health teacher. I mean, as a kid, I might be like, well, maybe I don't, health maybe might be something that, I'm thinking about. I mean, as a kid, I probably wasn't. As a parent, definitely. That's hugely important. In terms of a kid, in terms of PE, sports was a huge thing for me. And you're gonna lose PE. So talking to parents, like, you're gonna lose PE time if we go with this schedule, right? So there's no way you can have a PE teacher and health teacher and kids don't lose PE time. I think that's a huge thing to point out to people too, when we're thinking about why this is so important. I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Is it okay if I close public comment? Good? Everybody good? Okay, 6:23, I think that's what it says.
So as far as this budget stuff goes, I'm gonna make a motion that we make $35,000 in cuts to SAS, books cut by 15,000, supplies cut 10,000, consultant for outside space 10,000, technology cut by 20,000, field trips cut by 10,000, furniture cut by 15.5 thousand, bus reduction by 155,519 to stagger the buses, and a cut of a $50,000 plus BCBA position, totaling cuts to $321,019.
Did you make a motion?
I did make a motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
We've gone through a lot of
Is
stuff.
there
We've gone
another-
through a lot of stuff here today.
Is
We
there
have to make
another
cuts.
motion?
And we have to do stuff by our next meeting to get the ball rolling on all of this. I mean, I don't wanna cut any human positions right here. We're already taking away a ton of stuff. And we've heard from a lot of people about the importance of certain positions. I mean, the health teacher, there's a lot of trickle down effect here. Again, nobody's happy about this. I'm not thrilled that I just had to do all this math to cut this amount of money. Proud of myself that I got the math done. But at the end of the day, that gets us to our magic number that we have to cut today. Today or by the 8th. I mean, what are we gonna do? Sit around and play this whole game again in a week with 100 hours of public comment? And I wanna hear from everybody. I'm not saying that I don't want to hear from people, but it wasn't passed at the election. We were all voted in to go through the budget and have to do this stuff. And this is the hardest part of the school board stuff that I think I've had to do yet. And this is what we owe people. We owe people to go make the cuts because that's what they asked us to. These are the things that we can cut without taking a person out of their position, and that's my motion.
Okay, and I just wanted to say, something, if we do go with the bus cuts, for now, the change in the time, not bus cut. The elementary end, we have the YMCA that's already kind of in the picture. We have a little bit of time that we can,
They committed to last year, so we just
Yeah.
have to make sure they'll commit
so
to
we can
next
get
year.
a hold of them, and, I agree, and I can tell you at the high school, the brain starts thinking and learning and absorbing a little later in the morning, and we
Especially
have
for
problems
middle
with
schoolers.
absenteeism, right? We have big ones with that here, that's like a huge, so maybe that will help too, and maybe it will help with learning. So, and there's so many good things that could come out of it. The only piece that I feel reluctant sitting here is that I'm not sure everybody was given a good notice, but if we do it, they can always come in and talk about it, and I mean, this is for next year, so we got a little bit of time, and for now, I think that that's probably what we're gonna have to do.
So now you have to take the vote.
Excuse me, sorry, I have a slight discrepancy on the total number, can you just repeat those numbers?
Come on, Matt, what is it?
I can read back what I wrote down.
Sure. He wanted to do that, he was feeling good.
35 for SAS, 10,000 for books, 10,000 supplies.
you had 15K for books.
I readjusted that because I had 20K on the first time I read it off. So I went with 15K since we got the 11K to go back in, so I readjusted. I can read it off right as I have it written down right.
Yeah, if you don't mind.
And these are all those. SAS, 35,000. Books, cut, 15,000. School supplies, cut, 10,000. Outdoor consultant, cut, 10,000. Technology and replacements, cut, 20,000. Field trips, cut, 10,000. New furniture, cut, 15.5K. Bus, cut, and I pulled the exact number from you, bus, 155,519. BCPA, you have estimated at $50,000.
So that comes out to $321,019, so we have $302, so I'd just add that to the BCBA perhaps? 50,302.
Yes.
Okay, any other motions on the floor? We have a
So
one-
procedurally, you have a motion, you gotta act on that motion before you entertain another motion. You could entertain a motion to amend.
Is there any motion to amend? All good? Everybody's good?
Yes, all in favor.
All in favor? We're going down the ship together. That's all there is to it. All right, so, moving on.
To the next bullet.
All right, invoices and payroll. I'm gonna make a motion, moving forward on the invoices, that if there are invoices, and I wanna say this, Matt, to help you, any invoices in question, the board members send that invoice question direct to Matt, he holds that out, we sign the invoices. Payroll, I'd like to see, so that's the first part of it. Second part is payroll. Payroll, I wanna see the regular payroll, the weekly, regular payroll, and I wanna see the payroll for extras, add-ons, maybe it's for like tutoring, maybe it could be for like bus monitors. I somehow wanna see that separated so we never, ever, ever fall into the situation that happened last week. And that's my motion for those two, that we split them out, and everybody understands sitting at this table that they can at any time send them out and say, pull that invoice, certain one aside, till we meet, I wanna go over that. And that is my motion, and I'm looking for a second. You wanna amend it?
Well, can I just mention,
Procedural.
what happens on the things that are purchased and then we get the invoice, they're already purchased, so you can't really deny payment to somebody that
Right.
we've already purchased
So
something.
do you want me to add that, threshold amount?
Well, there has to be, because that's our whole concern.
Okay.
Do they have one for a PO system?
So I need a second.
They do, but they write the purchase orders.
Where's the second, and then we can do the amendment to add
So I
that.
think,
Alright, so then we need to amend it, Kelly, to add, what do we want for a threshold? Do we want 2,500 or 5,000? Tell me. 5,000, and that is gonna be the third piece of it, so it's 3 pieces. And do we have
So,
a
just
second
to
on the
clarify,
amendment?
they've got the procedural stuff.
Yeah.
So anything that is not budgeted over $5,000, we would get work.
Well, what about, you mean by budgeted?
Yeah, what do you mean by, you mean in the budget already, so it's not an additional,
So it's something that's not
Like blanket?
specified in the budget,
yeah,
that's over $5,000, the board.
that you need.
So like, you guys have a budget of $10,000 for supplies now. If you're gonna buy supplies, it's already in the budget, they don't have to ask for approval since it was approved during the budget process. If they have any additional expenditures that weren't in that line,
Right.
then they would have to ask the board.
Okay.
About contracted services.
Anything that comes just like that.
Right, okay.
Okay?
So I guess questions would be around special education,
Yep.
which are legally
You get an
required.
emergency with special education, you call the chair, or you get a hold of the vice chair, and you say, we need this, we need it now, at least three of us get together and we take care of that for you. Cause I'm not gonna sit here and worry about the what ifs, we're gonna worry about we're in the moment, we can't let things continue the way they are, and when those things arise, we as a board are gonna help and make sure that's taken care of immediately.
So what I'm struggling with is, like, this box is all of the reminders that were sent to board members about payroll. This.
Yep, we won't have that problem.
Yeah, we're not gonna have it
Which is
again.
delightful.
That's why we're doing this.
But these are the questions, right, that were answered.
Mhm.
So my struggle is, right, and there are 4 at least messages from Matt dated saying if you have a question about a particular invoice or payroll, they should be brought forward. So I appreciate that we're gonna separate that and actually formalize the policy
Help
and
it
the
out.
requirements that we've been asking for. I guess my concern is none of those questions, right, one was about I'm not gonna go through them all.
Yep.
No, but a lot of the problem is the money's already spent when we go to sign it. So if you purchase something, the money, we can't say no to that stuff if you already, if you bought $300 worth of stuff at Wayfair, I can't say no, you bought it, but you're not gonna pay them now.
Sure.
So
But
that's
part of the
why we didn't
reason-
sign.
And I agree to pull them, although we had no questions about any furniture purchases that were sent to us at any point. I understand that, but typically the reason we're doing that is because it's more cost effective to purchase a rug from Wayfair than it is through school specialty. And that's the reason that they've been purchased that way.
Yeah.
So, again, I'm
Just
happy
keep
if the
doing a
board-
good job with that purchase, we can get it from here.
I do wanna say as a building inspector,
Yeah.
these, the rugs and stuff, they need to be UL listed, sorry, it's my duty. They have to be fire retarded, okay, I'm just making sure, sorry, that's like my duty to. Well, I've done walkthroughs and there's been a lot of violations and a lot of, stuff like that, mostly in the elementary school, so I just wanna reiterate that, sometimes when you buy off Amazon and Wayfair, they're not UL listed and it's a fire thing. Sorry, that's just part of my job that I
I
stress
love it
about.
though, you bring that
Yeah.
to the table, that's good to know, good stuff. So can we move on to the vote so that we can get moving here, cause it was supposed to be an hour and we went over and we've got other people here that we gotta meet with. So can we get a, vote, all in favor?
Can we go over that again?
Yep. Go
And
ahead.
just your motion, your wording?
Sure. So, go ahead Kelly, can you do that?
Nice try, Maria.
Wait a minute, you can, you're the guy. Do it.
All right, so we're making a motion with separate, go ahead, Patrick.
You're making a motion
Yep.
that anything over $5,000 that isn't approved in the line item budget go for the board for approval.
Yes.
That isn't in the line item budget. So
That's right.
they have, it's a bottom line budget, they're allowed to take the money
That's
and
right.
move things around and make the purchases in that $17 million that's now approved.
Yep.
They can reline it, if there's things that come up that they must purchase extra or spend the extra money, that comes with it.
Yes.
Or contracted services that are high dollar amounts.
Yep, you second,
Second.
all in favor?
I've got a question about the contracted services, it's open for discussion.
Okay.
Okay.
I thought there were 2 other parts to the motion.
There is, I thought he might have wanted to separate them out, the invoice and the
I thought that
payroll.
was and then, separate motion that we can do after that, 2 separate.
Yeah,
We'll do it we'll do one motion at a time so it's not confusing. Let's just break this down, Barney style for everybody here. So we have the one motion, so we'll take that.
Okay, we have the second,
Yep,
and all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, then the second one is,
and make a motion that we separate out payroll and accounts, spending for approval.
So that's currently, that's the current
Yeah,
practice.
the
So
tape,
it's separated out in the sheet, each one is for its own.
So if there's any additional invoices like tutoring or bus monitors or anything like that that are not on the,
Actual payroll.
right,
separate it.
so that we can just sign it and let it go, so we don't have to worry about it.
So keep the regular business day ones going, and then anything above and beyond on a separate one so that we can decipher and see. Second, all in favor? Aye. And then the last one is the invoices. Do we wanna do anything on those? Do you want them, or is it?
What do we do with the 5,000?
We did with the 5,000, yeah. That's
I think
all
we're
set. Yep, we're good, okay. All right, and hopefully that takes care of business on that end. All right. So moving on, we are going to go into non-public. Roll call.
Need a motion.
Make a
Yeah.
motion to enter roll call, non-public session under RSA 91-2.3, Roman numeral 2 at
What letter are we going in under?
A through M, it says.
No, I don't know what we're going in under.
A through M, if needed.
A3. Well, this we were asked to add to is potential, so I'm not sure.
All right, everybody, we tried to give you an early night. That's good, I guess. Whew. I thought it would go later. All right.
If you'd like, I mean, you don't have to, Denise's coming at 7:30, and she said she's got all the tech people ready to go, so.
Thank you for your work on the budget, that wasn't easy, so, that's hard decisions.
We had a
but
lot of help and.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank
Good
you,
job.
have a good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Do we have the tech to shut off?
You can go in the little room if you want.
Yes,
And you can leave all that stuff here and go. I don't see.
I think Kyle's gonna be happy to go.
Kyle, You can go.
Shut her down.
Yep.